What's happening YouTube? Drew here with Table Talk, my first video in 3 months, and that's because I've been working on this, a brand new setup for both filming and playing games. And I'm excited to be back, hopefully making weekly videos about the simple and the thematic and the interactive games out there, because I saw a gap in the YouTube community where people love talking about the complex, the strategic games, but I want to talk about games that you can play with almost anyone. Today, I'm kind of bucking that trend though, talking about Euro games. And for those that are uninformed, Euro games are just simply games that focus on a certain set of mechanics. Additionally, they're oftentimes made in Europe about European themes like civilization, industry, farming. They can typically be less thematic than American games and more beige and dull color schemes and themes, a little more boring. But what they're traditionally known for is their mechanics, and their mechanics are focusing a lot on strategy, not as much on tactics, and really planning ahead, building up your own area or engine, or placing out workers to get action, building up a tableau, and not really messing with the other players a ton. Not a lot of combat, not a lot of negative interaction, not as much luck and dice rolling in combat as American games. And so because of that, I don't play a lot of Euro games, but recently started playing with a game group where there are a lot of Euro game fans. And so what has drawn me to Euro games is finding out that there actually are Euro games out there that really incorporate their theme like the more typical American games. And so today I wanted to give you guys a top 10 thematic Euros. So if you're already a Euro game fan, here's some that do a great job on theme. And if maybe you haven't tried a lot of Euro games, here's some that really bring the theme if that draws you in. Let's get to first honorable mentions. I got 3 honorable mentions to start off. I put these in honorable mentions because they are pretty complex, and I don't love complex games. A lot of my play groups can't or don't enjoy playing really complex games, but these still do a great job of incorporating their theme into Euro mechanics. And additionally, none of these games I have played a ton, and these are first Dune Imperium / its sequel Dune Imperium Uprising, SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and Caverna, the Cave Farmers. Now, Dune Imperium takes that theme of exploring that desert planet, and you actually get to send out spies and agents to go do actions. You get to build up a deck, so it's deck building and worker placement. Getting all these cool actions. There's combat with sandworms and soldiers, and it is a really, really thematic, cool experience. You get to play the leaders from the movies and books. A great game. SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, just recently came out, and it is a space Euro game all about exploring space and trying to discover extraterrestrial intelligence instead of like a space civilization combat game. I think it does a great job of incorporating the theme, and a very unique theme at that. And finally, Caverna, the Cave Farmers. This leads you to be a dwarf family trying to raise a farm. You also have a cave, and you can have a lot of different options. You're building up your farm over time, your mines, your animals, your crops, and it is just a really great game with a ton of options. Those are my 3 honorable mentions. A little too complex. Haven't played them enough. And my number 10 thematic Euro is Everdell. Now, this game was really brought to the forefront because of its art. It has amazing, amazing Andrew Bosley art where it really brings that red wall, that animal critter theme to life, where you're actually building up a city of animal citizens. And it's whoever builds their city the best wins. And so you're building out this tableau of cards with different powers, and you get to actually place out little critters throughout the meadow to get different actions. And so I really, really love it because it is a slow burn into an explosive end. You start off with not as many workers, and you don't have a ton of cards and actions, and you think there's no way I'm gonna build out this giant city. But by the end of the game, you have this awesome city with all these interacting cards, and you almost have too much options, too many cards that you can't place them all. And that is what makes me love Everdell, a unique game art and an amazing theme, components, and art. My number 9 thematic Euro game is another newer game, and this is Wondrous Creatures. This makes me think about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but in a good way. Those movies are kind of trash, but it was a really cool theme of going out and catching these magical creatures a la almost Pokemon. And that's what this game is all about. You're actually placing out workers, which are these unique animal meeples that actually take up 2 spaces, and you're putting on this hex-based map, getting different actions, and actually building out a tableau of these like animal Pokemon cards. And once again, a lot like Everdell, you get all of these different interacting actions, and it's just really cool trying to collect all these different critters and exploring this map of all these different hexes with different actions. And it has amazing art, components, and theme, and really makes you feel like you're traveling this world, catching all of these creatures. That is my number 9 wondrous creature. My number 8 thematic Euro is from Gray Fox Games, and this is Champions of Midgard. Now, this is another worker placement game, which you're kind of seeing a theme here, but it's unique in that it adds dice rolling and combat, which are very unusual for a Euro game to have. In this game, you're actually gonna be building up kind of like a Viking village, going around doing different actions in the different areas, but also being able to get Viking warriors and go out on journeys, on voyages, and also being able to fight different monsters and ultimately trying to be the best Viking. I love this game. It has amazing theme, art, components, like all the other games on my list. That sounds like something you would like. Check out Champions of Midgard. And number 7 is another newer Euro game, and this is Reef Project. This has a really, really cool theme about trying to conserve and build back up the coral reefs, and you're gonna be a group of researchers. You're gonna build up different actions as you run around this map, ultimately in your boat, trying to do different actions and dropping reef balls, which I'd never heard of, but those kind of, I guess, help build back up the coral reef. And so it's also very scientific, which I love as a science teacher. So if you would love that science theme, it's very bright, very great fun artwork, very sciencey nature theme. Check out Reef Project from Board and Dice Games. My number 6 is unique in both its theme and its combination of mechanics, and this is Distill. This is a game all about building up a distillery, so making a company with different whiskey, spirits, and things like that. And now living in Tennessee, there's a ton of those all around, and it's also unique in that you're building up this set collection. You're building up this resource management of trying to get different resources to distill certain drinks, but there's also a push your luck element, which is really unique and ultimately trying to get the best drinks produced. So that is a unique combination I love with a really, really cool theme from a new publisher, Paverson Games. Check out Distilled if you want a thematic Euro. My number 5 game is a theme that really is near and dear to my heart, growing up loving different TV shows, and this is The Networks. In this game, you're gonna be trying to collect different TV shows, different stars, and try to build the best television network. I love how thematic it is in that you get to create reruns, and certain shows have better arcs than others. And additionally, it really incorporates those mechanics of drafting and set collection into a really fun theme that makes sense as being a television executive, trying to build the best network of shows with the best stars, maybe a variety or maybe a lot of one genre. If that sounds interesting to you, check out The Networks. My number 4 is a indie darling in the board game industry, and that is Obsession. This brings the theme of like Downton Abbey, Pride and Prejudice, those aristocratic English Bridgerton vibes to a board game. So you're actually playing European royalty, trying to court different really important people and hosting different parties, building up kind of your manor with your different servants. And so it's a very fun theme to role play with, to really get into, you know, try your best posh British accent. And it's also just a really solid game that really incorporates the mechanics well into the theme. That is my number 4. My number 3 game is Suburbia. And if you're like me, you grew up loving games like The Sims and SimCity, and this game is really SimCity in a box, where you're actually creating a suburbia, a combination of downtown places, suburban places, and different categories of buildings and areas to really build your own town. And I love it because all of the different tiles interact differently. You want, you know, certain areas close and not as close to other areas, and it all really connects that theme with the mechanics well. My number 3 thematic Euro. The number 2 game is Viticulture, specifically the Essential Edition from Stonemaier Games, and this game brings the theme of winemaking to life as you own and operate a winery, a vineyard, and you're getting different guests in, you're trying to create the best wine, and I really love, once again, like all of these other games, how it marries those mechanics to the theme with really stellar components. and a really fun game to have some drinks with. My number 2, that is viticulture. Before I get to my number 1, I just want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing. I never expect anyone to. I know a lot of other people have way better production and different things like that than me. But I just love talking about board games, and a lot of people in my life do not as much as me, so I love talking about it online with different people. With all that being said, thank you guys so much. My number 1 is the pursuit of happiness. And this game really brings the game of life into a strategy game where you are actually living someone's life, building up a collection of different cards, both items, jobs, romantic partners, activities, interests, and you are using all of this to get more creativity and money and social skills and artistic skills, and ultimately trying to get the most long-term happiness, which we all know is much more difficult than short-term. But you can also get that in this game. And you can take vacation and rest and even take an extra job to make more money, but it's going to make you more stressed. And I love how every action you take in this game makes sense thematically, and that it ultimately still builds to a strategic game where you get to live out someone's life. And what's more fun than that? With all that being said, I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side.